Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody always asks why, I'm here to ask, why not? I'll be breaking down the mindsets of guests as well as my own in a bid to find out what makes people say, why not? Hello guys and welcome back to Why Not. So solo episode today. I'm going to do a Q&A. I put a question box up on my Instagram and I'm going to answer a couple of questions that came through. So that is the plan for today, and yeah, hope everyone enjoys it today. I'm excited. Okay, so here we are back on our next episode of Why Not. Today is a Q&A format episode. I have some interviews lined up for the next couple of weeks, which I'm looking forward to getting on board. But for today, you're just going to have to listen to me. I'm sorry guys, but it's not that bad, is it? Hopefully not. Anyway, so first question, I'm going to get the elephant in the room out of the way. And the question is, how are you finding lockdown? Now, I know a lot of people have found this one quite difficult. The weather hasn't been great. It's kind of been extended, and we kind of got 2 weeks around Christmas and not even the full Christmas. This kind of feels like there's no end in sight, but for me, it's been okay. And I know I'm going to sound like a terrible wanker for saying that, but the reason it's been okay is it's actually forced me to finally start doing stuff for myself that I've been putting off. While working in the other gym, it's been very easy for me to not do things to try and get my own business off the ground. I had the class, I had the kind of steady income, and instead of me focusing on those things, I used the excuses of being too busy to not do it, when really the issue was I was too scared because I was afraid to put myself out there. Now with this third lockdown, and I'm quite lucky, I'm also on the pandemic unemployment payment, which is enough for me to get. I kind of got forced, you can't keep running away from everything forever, and with that I've had to get my head down and start doing things that I didn't want to do. So put a big focus into this podcast. I've really made sure I'm showing up on my social medias. I'm trying to I got my logo sorted. I've done a lot of work on the behind the scenes stuff and started writing and things that if I didn't do, I could be putting it off forever. So I've kind of taken that time to do this. Now, obviously, I'm in a kind of a good scenario in a sense. I've no kids to deal with. As I said, the pandemic unemployment payment is helping me. It's enough for me to get by. I won't get rich off it, but I can pay my bills, and that's all I'm really interested in at the moment. In that sense, I think it's good. It's been good for me because it's made me kind of get focused and get the head down. And I get up every morning, 5 days a week, and I train, and I get that done, and then I kind of sit down and get my head down today. Has every day been perfect? Absolutely not. I've had days where I've been frustrated. I've been days when I'm bored as hell. I've been days where I'm I've nothing to do. Now, if I looked into it, I definitely have more that I could be doing, but it's not always easy. And I found as well in the last couple of weeks, Peter's been back in work. I'm in the apartment on my own, and it's a bit weird being on your own all the time. And it's reaching for the phone to send messages to people and stuff like that, just to reach out and have some form of communication, because there's not a lot going on. And it has been hard because I've had to force myself into my own routine. And I haven't perfected it, by no means. I don't think I have. I'm always later than I think I will because I end up scrolling on TikTok or something on Instagram just to basically avoid what I'm supposed to be doing, because I still have that niggly feeling that nobody cares, which is sad. No, but because I have been conditioning myself to do this for the last while, it has made it a lot easier for me to show up even when I feel like shite and nobody. And yeah, so that is how lockdown has been for me. I think I found it, as I said, not as bad as most people, but I try to keep away from the news as well. I try not to dwell on everything that's happening. I don't wait to hear about what's going on. I just kind of let it happen and let the days happen. And yeah, instead of worrying about everything that's not happening, I've kind of just been focusing on what I can control, and I've made that has made life a lot easier for me. Not that I'm saying it's easy, but it's made things easier. So yeah, I think that is enough talk of the pandemic, because I'd say we're all blue in the face with it. So I'm going to move on to the next question. Da-da-da-da. Okay. Next question is, I find it really hard to get motivated. What can I do about this? I see motivation come up a lot recently, especially since the gym's closed and things like that. People are really finding it hard to get up and go, and obviously being locked in your house most days, I say locked in, we're kind of supposed to be, isn't helping. The weather's rotten, so obviously trying to go out and stuff like that makes it harder if the weather's terrible. And basically what I have to say about that is, another issue that we may be struggling at is you don't know what your goal is. Okay, so if I want to break that down, if I asked you today, why are you struggling with motivation to train, for instance, you might go, oh, I was all really excited at the start and now it's hard. Okay, what is your goal? I want to lose a bit of weight. Okay, how much weight? Oh, just a couple of pounds. Okay, why do you want to, you don't have a goal. Do you see that? That's the problem. That is a big problem for motivation as well, because you don't actually know what you want to do. Your goal is very vague and not measurable, not specific. So how can you move towards something you don't know what you're doing? So how, the old adage is, how can you hit a target that you cannot see? So you don't have a set target, you don't know what you want to do. It's very hard to stay quote unquote motivated when you don't know what you're doing. So for me, I would say first break it down. What do you actually want to do? Why do you want to do it? And how are you going to do it? Then, if you have that down, and I also strongly advise you write this down, because if you don't write it down, it's just a dream. So if you write this down, you now know, okay, so my goal is I want to lose, let's say for example, 10 pounds. I'm going to do that, or 5 kilos, that would be rough. Why do I want to do that? I want to feel better the way I look. Don't say it's because I need to lose it. That's not a reason. Nobody needs to lose anything, realistically. But if there's a reason, real reason, you're more likely to stick to it. You don't want to lose 10 pounds because your mom said you're putting on a bit of lockdown weight. That's not going to be enough. You want it to be for you, because I feel better when I'm 10 pounds lighter, or I feel better, I feel like I can play with the kids more, or I look better in my dresses. That can be a reason. People feel really bad about saying, I want to look like this because I want to feel sexy, I want to look good naked, I want to feel good. That's okay. It doesn't have to be a reason oh, because health said this and It can literally be because that's the way I feel and I like it. So do not feel bad about doing that if that is your reason for doing it, okay? I want you to say. But also I want you to remember that you won't want to do it if it's coming from extrinsic, which means outside of you. If someone is telling you you need to lose this weight, and if you're comfortable with the way you are and you don't want to, that's okay. So do not let someone else's opinion influence. And I think that happens a lot now. You see it a lot with social media as well. People are comparing themselves to these fitness models who this, that and the other, completely different person, completely different lifestyle, and you want to look like them because they quote unquote look good, or they're in shape, or any of those kind of different things. And you have to remember as well, you are a different person. You are not them. you have a different life. These guys probably don't have children to look after. They don't have jobs to do. Their job could be to travel the world and do the stuff, which sounds amazing, but probably very strict on what they can eat. They're probably they might not be able to maintain relationships the way they would like to because they're traveling. They could be miserable just for that one shot. And I think we need to remember that when we are striving to look like these people. And also we need to remember, and I like to think that we are a lot more clued in on this now, but I still think that it's not as there. We kind of still forget it, that like so much filtering and editing goes into a lot of these photos. Some of these people don't even look like the way they look. And I like to think that we're a lot aware of that now, but the effects it's having, the technology is improving so much right now that it's really easy to get caught in that comparison mode to these people. Did you know that you can actually edit videos in real time now? So you can filter videos. So someone you're looking at could be like, yeah, this product's amazing, while not only wearing makeup and filtering the video. So I think you have to be really careful about that, because I don't know how many people are aware to this. Now I am only aware to it for something I saw on Facebook. Hint hint, the Kardashians are really bad. You have to be careful when you're giving yourself no choice if you are comparing how you look to these beauty standards of people, as I said, who don't even look like that, and it's just going to make you feel awful. That was a little side tangent and I'm sorry about that. My third one was how you are going to get your goal. So we'll come back to this, but I just felt like that needed to be said. So how are you going to get your goal? This is a really important thing, because if you do not put a plan in place, you will not get anywhere. It's all well and good saying, I want to lose this, now I know why I want to do it, and I'm gonna train like 3 days a week. When are those 3 days? You need to be specific. You need to go, okay, I'm going to train Monday, Wednesday and Friday for half an hour. I'm going to go for a walk on a Saturday. You need to be specific with these, and you need to be able to plan them into your week. So there's no point as well saying I'm going to lose 10 pounds, I'm going to train 6 days a week if you don't have time. Like, you can't say I'm going to do an hour 6 days a week if you've got half an hour to spare 4 days a week, and then you're setting yourself up to failure. So you need to be realistic about it when you are setting up these goals and how you're going to go about it, and you need to book it in. 100% book it in with yourself. You are not going to do it if you do not do this, okay? You will get nowhere if you do not book it in with yourself. This is very, very important, because it's very easy to forget when there's 10 different things going on and you haven't, like, work is easy. Work is planned for us, a lot of us. Some people not so much, but if you are working from home at the moment, you know you have to be at the computer from 9 to 5. You have an hour lunch at 12, and everywhere around that is your free time. So that gives you morning time. Maybe you don't have time for that, you're trying to get the kids set up for homeschool. You have evening time. The kids are probably finished school at this point. So which is going to suit you better? Can you do it on your lunch break? Are you going to be on calls all day, or are you behind the laptop and no one's looking at you? You could take your hour lunch break and then eat your lunch at your desk. All these little things that we can figure out that we can do to help us get towards our goal is very important. But as I said, there's no point if you don't have it booked in with yourself. Book it in, make a time. It's time for you. We do everything for everybody else and we don't want to give ourselves time. So make sure you make that time for you. So there you go. That is my weird roundabout long way of saying how to stay motivated. First off, let's make sure you have a set goal, an actual goal. Figure out why you want to do it. So the why is just as important as the goal, and how you're going to do it. If you have those 2 or 3 things, make sure you have them written down, plan in as to those workouts, and even if you want, you can put them up somewhere that you can see. Do that if that feels good for you. But again, that's completely up to you. So with that, I finish off this question. My next question is, what is a calorie deficit? So I'm sure everyone unless you've been living under a rock, has heard the term calorie deficit. Basically, the short response is you eat less than you need. The longer description is we need a certain amount of calories to survive our day-to-day life, which is literally just existing, okay? This is your basal metabolic rate. If you eat this amount of calories for whatever you need to survive, you will stay the same weight. If you consume more calories than you need for your BMR, you will gain body fat, not weight, body fat. You can gain and lose body fat without gaining weight or weight change on scales. Just side note. And if you eat less and consume less calories than you need to survive, you will lose body fat. So your body will utilize the fat stores in your body as body fat as an energy source if you are consuming less. So this is the whole idea behind a calorie deficit. So if you're in a calorie deficit, your body will use body fat as an energy source. Okay? Sounds simple? Yeah. Is it easy? No. If it was easy, we would have no problem. People with obesity issues or weight issues in the world. So obviously it's clearly not that easy. I think a lot of it goes to how we are conditioned to look at food, how we live our day to day. Obviously being more sedentary at the moment with the lockdowns is not helping. If you're eating the same amount of calories as you were when you were maybe potentially walking to and from the train station or the bus stop, the likelihood is you're going to put on a bit of extra body fat, unless you're getting out and doing that walk on your own as well. So when dealing with a calorie deficit, there's a lot more factors we have to take out. It's very, very simple to say eat less, move more, but it's not always that. The problem as well is most people, I feel like people are starting to become a bit more awake to this, but every diet you've ever done is based off this principle. There is no magic pill. They are literally following this exact thing. The only problem is a lot of the diets that are peddled by the diet industry are very extreme and very strict, and that is why you get results quick, and people want the results yesterday. And the thing is, these diets do technically work. However, they do not work long term. That's the issue. So you may crash diet, lose a load of weight, and then in 6 weeks you have put it back on because you've just gone back into a massive calorie surplus, or went back to eating normally, because if you're in a crazy calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. And then when you go back to eating normally, your body's going to store all that again because you've just completely spiked up the amount of calories you're eating. Hopefully I'm making sense here. So what we need to do is, if you are trying to lose body fat in a sustainable manner, is you need to focus on the method you're doing it and do it in a very sustainable manner. Like if you do want to count calories, you just want to reduce them by a little bit, and do not go on a 1200 calorie diet, because that is literally the worst thing you can do. Not the worst, but for some reason a lot of fitness trackers say 1200 calories is what you need without taking anything into account, and a lot of this seems to be the magic number at the moment. But I'm telling you now, 1200 calories is what a toddler needs, and also you will feel miserable if you were eating 1200 calories. And what will probably happen is you might manage to eat 1200 calories from Monday to Friday, and then on the weekend you might end up having 3,000-4,000 calories, and then you wonder why you're not losing weight. Does this make sense? Hopefully it does. So we do want to reduce our calories slightly, but we want to make sure that we're reducing them in a manageable manner. So yes, you might be a little bit hungry, but you don't want to be starving and thinking about every next meal as literally your whole life. You're just thinking about food. If you're thinking about food the whole time when you're on a diet, you're not on a good diet. Think about that. Like, if you are constantly thinking about your next meal, you're probably not eating enough, and that's why it's consuming your thoughts all the time. And I know you have to take a little bit of calories away, but you don't have to bring yourself to the extreme that all you can think about is food. And I think we do need to remember that, because we love extremes. Absolutely love extremes. The harder the better, we seem to think. But really, it's not going to be good for you to be that extreme. So just remember that if you are struggling at the moment, if you're on a diet, as I said, diets aren't the best way to phrase everything. Maybe you do need to up your calorie intake a little bit. Maybe you need to work out how many you're actually needing. And also, maybe you need to go back to the last question, and what is your actually goal? So have you no actual set goal, yet you're starving yourself and banning yourself from chocolate? There is no bad or good food. I believe that in general. There's some food is more nutritious, some food is less nutritious. But if you don't have a set goal, no food is going to add or take away from that goal. So I think that's worth really, really remembering when you are denying yourself a chocolate bar because you want to lose a couple of pounds. It's not the chocolate bar, and you don't have a set goal. So I hope that made sense as well. I kind of maybe went off on a tangent. If you do have any questions on the back of that, just give me a shout and I can go back over and go into more detail. My next question is, I want to be more toned, but I don't like lifting weights. What can I do? Any PT listen to this hears the word tone and cringes, okay? So it seems like nearly every woman in the world wants to be toned, but they're afraid of getting muscular and getting bulky like the women they see in bodybuilding mags. And I really like to hope that's on the way out, but I still don't think it is. It's definitely improving, but I think there's still a lot of fear around it. Now, what I want to say is, by lifting weights, you will not turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've lifted weights for quite a long time. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I'm still not as muscly as I want to be. So there's that. Now, I know you might not want to be as muscular as me, but you want to have that little bit of definition. But at the end of the day, toned muscles are people who are toning their muscles are growing muscle tissue. They do that by putting stress on the muscles, so by weightlifting, resistance stress. So weightlifting, you can use body weight to do this. You can use suspension trainers, so like the likes of your TRX. You can use bands to an extent, but really at the end of the day, basically the issue is you want to look a certain way, but you don't want to do the work that involves it, okay? So in order to get to where you want to be, you can't always be comfortable. So living in your comfort zone won't get you anywhere. There's a lot of things a lot of people do in order to achieve goals like this, but at the end of the day, what you have to remember is you won't get like that doing cardio. So you can use body weight to an extent, but there will be a point where you do need to make added resistance, get progressive overload to get that look. We all have to do things we don't enjoy to achieve results we want. I personally hate training legs. I don't like squats. I don't like going heavy on my legs. I don't like the feelings during it, okay? I could happily train back all day. I don't really care about chest, and I've grown to love training my shoulders. I used to hate. However, I want strong legs. So if that means I have to squat really heavy weights, or not even really heavy weights, if I have to squat heavy weights and be uncomfortable and go through that, that's what I'm going to do. Same goes for doing chest work or shoulders. Like, I couldn't expect to be good at press-ups if I didn't practice them. I don't like press-ups. Well, I actually don't mind press-ups now because I've gotten better at them. However, I didn't like them before when I couldn't do them. But I worked on them until I could do them. Now I don't mind them. So you have to remember, there are things you have to decide. Like, you have to decide if you want that look or you don't. If you don't want that look, fine. But you're going to have to use the weights to get that look. So if you're not willing to use weights, or if you're not willing to challenge your body to do that, you have to accept you will not look toned. You will not get that look from cardio. There's absolutely nothing wrong with cardio, but you need to build muscle. Now, To be fair, if you're a cyclist, you'll have big ass legs. But for other exercises, like if you're running and walking, you're not going to get that level of stress on the muscle that will cause it to adapt like weight training will. And again, there's nothing wrong with running and walking, they're great forms of exercise, but you're not going to get the look you're looking for unless you do some form of resistance training. So I hope that made sense. I kind of got lost trying to explain that one, but basically the roundabout way of saying suck it up and do it if you actually really want it. So roundabout way of saying, unfortunately, you're going to have to do things you don't like in life to achieve things you want in life. So we are very good at minding ourselves. We're not very good at pushing ourselves. I've noticed this a lot. And I think we need to remember that not everything is going to be perfect. And if you want to get better, it's up to you, and you are going to have to be uncomfortable in order to get better. So I hope that helped, and hopefully you will start training in the gym. And do not worry, as I said, you will not end up looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It takes women years and years and years, and especially when it comes to that level of muscular, generally we need steroids to become that muscular, because we do not have enough testosterone in our body to become like that. So heads up, if you see someone who's absolutely massive, they're probably on some form of testosterone. But that is just a side note. So hopefully that helped with your question. Okay, running or walking for fitness, which do you recommend? So this again goes back to your goals. What is your goal? Are you training for a marathon, a half marathon? Like if you're training for one of them, you should probably run. Are you not? Then no. Do you enjoy running? Then run. Do you not like running? Do you prefer going for a walk and listening to a podcast and strolling and taking in the day? Then I would say walk. Now this is probably going to sound very contradictory to the answer to the last question, but if you're on a fitness journey or a whatever type of journey, fat loss, whatever, I always find that the exercise you do should be dependent on what you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, you are more likely to keep doing it. So there's no point, you're not going to keep going out and running every day 5k if you hate it, okay? You might very happily go for a 30-minute walk every day. So the reason is kind of takes away from what I just said. In certain scenarios, like i.e. trying to build muscle, you're going to have to do things you don't like to get the result. However, if it comes to a case of you just want to improve your cardiovascular fitness, or you just want to get out for a walk or for a stroll, then it doesn't really matter what you do. Okay? So yeah, technically running is going to burn more calories and it's going to improve your cardiovascular system more. But if you hate running and you're not going to go out running, it doesn't matter a damn. Do you see what I'm getting here? So like if you are going to make an excuse not to run and do maybe one run a week, versus if you go out for 5 walks which are less intensity and still going to improve your overall fitness, but they're just going to be lower intensity exercise, which do you think is going to be more beneficial to your fitness? And I think people forget that they feel like they have to do this because this is what they're told to do, but they absolutely hate it, which is really interesting and also kind of silly. But now I run even though I don't like it, but I am also training for a half marathon, so I need to get out and run. And that gives me a reason to run and consistently run. But I've also taken a break this week because my body was like, bitch, slow down. And that needs to be done. That said, I'm getting out for a walk every day because I still need to get out in the air, in the fresh air. Otherwise, I'm going to end up going crazy in this little apartment. But I think we need to remember that you don't have to do it because other people are doing it. We feel like, oh, Johnny down the road goes running 10 times a week somehow. Some people love doing that. I should do that too because, like, he's fitter than me, but you absolutely hate running, so why would you do it? So I think, as I said, this was kind of a shorter answer than the other ones. The other ones have been a bit more long-winded, but this goes back, as I said, to what do you want to do and do you enjoy it? So if your goal is to get a bit of fresh air every day, go for a walk if you hate running. If your goal is to train for a marathon or a half marathon, you should probably do a bit of running. I just would advise it, it's probably a good idea. And if you enjoy running, if you're a weirdo, go run every day, enjoy, have it, have your runs. And that's you time as well, because no one can bother when you're running. I know some people run together. We're probably not allowed to run together right now, are we? Unless we live together. But it's a bit of a social occasion as well for people to go and running. But yeah, I don't run with people. I'm a solo trainer. I'm a lone wolf. But yeah, so that is the short and long version, I suppose, of that answer. Which you enjoy, do it. And that's simple as that. So that is my last question. I want to thank everyone for sending in those questions to me, and I will do another one of these Q&A formats probably down the line. I have a few interviews that lined up hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and they will be, then after that I might do another Q&A. I will still do my Q&As on Instagram every week, so if you do want to get some questions in, you will find me at Chrissy H Fitness, and I'm the same on TikTok, Chrissy H Fitness. And yeah, if you want to hit me up there, let me know how you're finding the podcast, any suggestions on topics. I'm always delighted to have them. And thanks a mil for listening, guys. It really means a lot to me. I'm delighted to have you on board and listening to me every week, so thank you. Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. It really means a lot that you are listening in, and I would love if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or subscribe on Spotify. And always, I'd love to hear feedback personally, so if you do want to leave me a message and let me know how you found the podcast, please do.